and me along with Pranavi are going to present today's session. So initially we'll give the some basic information about 3D printing and later we'll start with the basics of Fusion. So summer school welcomes you all and we are happy that you chose our 3D printing club and hopefully after the sessions end you'll get a complete idea of how 3D printers work and the process involved in it, along with some basic idea of Fusion and Blender. So, coming to the course overview, today we'll be speaking about uh, basics of 3D printing and some basic features in Fusion. And the next session will be on Wednesday. We'll cover some advanced Fusion topics and we'll create a 3D model. Then we'll have a session on Blender to teach you on the basics of Blender. And later we'll go into the processes involved, so slicing of a 3D model and the G code. And then we'll speak about the different 3D printers available like FLA. There are many different 3D printers, and each printer, the choice depends on the material used and the cost and the number of motherboard present, etc. And then we'll speak in detail about how we set up a 3D printer and the processes involved after finishing a 3D model. So in today's session, we'll understand what is 3D printing and how do you 3D print a model, the steps involved, and not everything can be 3D printed. So we'll also look into what can be 3D printed, some of the benefits of 3D printing. But as we know, 3D printing always has challenges, so we'll be discussing on the challenges faced and how to choose the correct 3D printer for the material we are using. After looking into this, we'll start with the Fusion. So, what is 3D printing? 3D printing involves creating a 3D object or a model, usually a CAD model or a digital 3D model using the softwares like Fusion 360 or Blender. And once this model is created, how to convert the model into an actual 3D model, a solid model by layer deposition. So this is what 3D printing does. So it creates first we create a 3D model using softwares, and after each all the processes involved, the model is broken down into 2D layers, and each layer is deposited on one another to finally fuse and form the actual 3D model which we are looking for. So people might have different notions on of 3D printing. What people actually think 3D printing, what we can 3D print, and what actually we end up doing. Just gives a fair idea. So initially, we might want to 3D print something like a block, and uh, during the initial stages, if we don't put the settings correctly, or if we are not looking into the settings, we end up getting something else which we don't desire for. So it's very important that we follow each step, at least in the initial stages, until we get used to it. And after once we are used to it, we can always uh, what we desire to print and what we print might actually become reality. Okay, so how to 3D print a model? So 3D, the processes involved in 3D printing is first is modeling. after which we do a process called slicing, and finally we print. After printing, there are some post-processing steps which we will have to follow. So the basic idea, what you'll get in this session is how to model. So creating a CAD model, you can always use any like you can use different softwares, but today we'll be looking into Fusion. So once you have modeled the whatever you want into reality, once you're done with modeling, you'll have to use a slicer software. So slicer software, so you can model with SketchUp as well. Like I didn't mention this, but so these are STL files. STL stands for Standard Tessellation Files, and they are used in rapid prototyping, 3D printing, and in CAM also. Once modeling is done, we go into slicing. So slicing basically involves putting the file into a slicer software. So some of the open source slicer softwares are Cura and Bamboo Studio. We also have Prusa Slicer. So these softwares basically convert your 3D model into a 2D model. So the so 2D layers. So once the 2D layers are formed, each layer is deposited, and finally you can actually print the 3D model. So the process, usually the outcome of a slicing is a G code. So G code is basically the code which you finally upload into a 3D printer, which is used for printing. So you can, in your slicer software, you can always change many like settings like the layer height, density, radius, etc. So infill density means the amount of uh, you like the model you want it to be hollow or if it has to be completely full. Like in case you're making a 3D model for some stability for it to stand, usually people prefer it to be a little thickness to be given inside, so it is usually filled a little inside. So that is infill density, and so you can change all these settings in the slicer software, and that will alter your G code. And G code is what you're finally going to give to your 3D printer for printing. And here are some crazy facts about 3D printing. So I'm sure most of you would have heard about this Agnikul Cosmos. It was a recent uh, thing, a successful launch by from India in Chennai, and its engine was completely 3D printed. So the rocket's engine was 3D printed and it was a success. Some other facts are the Doodler pen. So 3D Doodler pen is used to 3D print objects in air itself. So this video shows you how it actually works. Okay. And another crazy fact is NASA actually used 3D printed pizzas to feed astronauts in outer space. And some crazy stuff which can be 3D printed are this
This
Lamborghini,
is
which
a
was absolutely
3D
3D
printed
printed.
Lamborghini Aventador that a gentleman 3D printed in his basement, and you're not going to believe how affordable it was. All of the body panels have been 3D printed in this small 3D printer, which doesn't look that different than like a large toaster oven. So Sterling was able to 3D print bits at a time, join them together. It's got a carbon undercoating under this primer as well. And what you end up with is, well, a car that pretty much, especially from 5 or 10 feet, looks identical to the real thing. The engine in this car is an LS1 V8 from a C5 Corvette. Check out this inside. So first of all, it does have the scissor door, but the coolest part to me is Sterling was able to incorporate a lot of the factory-looking Lamborghini software and functions into this custom-built car. The most unbelievable part of this build for me is that Sterling is only in this about $35,000.
Okay. Anybody has doubts? You can ask so far, whatever we have covered. You can raise your hand and I'll unmute you. Okay, then we'll continue. So, after you finishing the slicer software and after getting the G code, you are finally ready for printing. So the printer usually takes up the G code and slowly prints layer by layer. So the printer depends on the size, the complexity of the object as well. So some processes printing, it depends on the printer as well. So some printers may take lesser time to print the same object, while others might take more time. But as the object gets bigger, and if you are filling your infill density is more, the time taken to print the object will also increase drastically. So layer by layer, the printer will 3D print the object. And finally, if all your settings and you take care properly, the object which you created as a CAD model will actually become a 3D model. Uh, yeah. Now, Pranavi will be presenting the rest of the slides.
So yes, guys, I hope all of you can hear me. And so the next part is post-processing of 3D printed model. Uh, we need to do this because we might have supports while the model is printed. The supports help in the building of the model. We can remove the supports after it's printed. And when you have any rough surfaces on the model, we can use sandpapers to smooth the rough surface. Then coloring. If we use colored filaments and FDM printer, there's not much need of this coloring. But when we have SLA or SLS printer, yeah, we can use this method to color the outputs. Then we have welding and assembling. When we print a large model, we could build them in different parts and then assemble at the end. So then this is used. Guys, you can unmute yourself and ask for any doubts. So now coming to what all could be 3D printed, we have buildings. Large scale 3D printers are capable to print all the building equipment. Like there are print concrete 3D printers which could be used to build walls and everything of a building. Next, we have edible creations. We could build we could print pasta doughs and any shapes using these 3D printers. Then coming to medical and healthcare, we can 3D print custom fit prosthetic limbs for any amputated people or anyone. Then we can also 3D print organs for transplants, dental implants, and many. We could also use these medical 3D printers for educational purposes, and we can print personalized medicines according to the dosage of according to the dosage of the patients. Then the main use of 3D printers are 3D printers are also used in automotives and aerospace. We will be printing parts of automotive vehicles, lightweight and complex parts of aircrafts, and any custom tools for manufacturing process. So next, coming to the benefits of 3D printing, 3D printing lets designers create prototypes very quickly and in a cheaper way. It's very cheap compared to other traditional manufacturing process. Uh, we can print personalized products and many for in less time. 3D printing can be cost-effective solution for small-scale industries which do not have much budget. Yeah, 3D printing also helps in solving many problems around the house. Not only benefits, we also have many challenges come faced in 3D printing. Yeah, coming to limited materials, not all printers are capable of using every material. So certain printers are used. So, uh, yeah, certain printers use the materials which are desired only to them. Not all materials can be used by every printer, and we also require skilled labor uh, to get a desired 3D printed product perfectly. Technical expertise is required so that every problem while printing could be solved by the person without any issues. And yeah, there will also be some noise while 3D printing. So choosing the right 3D printer is very important to avoid any problems. So we check the level of details and accuracy the printer can achieve. We also consider the materials which the printer could handle. So overall, a 3D printer requires a careful consideration of budget, print quality, and material requirements to choose a nice 3D printer. So yes, guys, we are done with the introduction. If you have any doubts, you can ask, and we'll move on to Fusion. So has everyone installed Fusion 360 in their systems? Yeah, okay then. So yes, guys, as you open Fusion 360, you get this page. Now we can create a sketch and select the view which is required. So this is the front view, top view, and the side view. Choose whichever view is required. For now, I'm just selecting the front view to explain the basic sketching tools. Yeah, in the create segment, we have line tool firstly, which is used to create normal straight lines. We can also give dimensions using the sketch dimension tool. Just click on it and give the desired dimension, and it will get. Then we have a tool to create rectangles. So firstly, a 2-point rectangle, we can choose any 2 points, and then the rectangle is created like this. Then there's also 3-point rectangle and a center point rectangle. So choose a center, and then we'll have the rectangle. You can also dimension this later. Now, to create a circle, take the center and give the required diameter. We can also create using radius, tangent, 2-point, 3-point circles similarly. In creating an arc, we have 3-point arc, center point, and tangent arc. So you need to specify the 3 required points for a 3-point arc. For a center point arc, choose a center and then any other point for the arc. Guys, be interactive. If you have any doubts, please unmute and ask. We can also create a polygon using this tool.
Hello.
Yeah,
When I open the app, my app, when I click on the create, it is showing exclude, revolve, sweep, and all these options. There is no line and rectangle option for me.
did you choose a view like the front, top, or side view?
No.
Choose a view so that you could get this create option.
Like,
Then we can create a polygon by specifying the edge length and the number of sides required for the polygon. Yes, any more doubts? We also have a tool to create ellipse. We just need to give the length of minor and major axis and we'll get an ellipse. There's an option called slot to create such kind of structures. And we also have splines. We need to give the control points and we'll get the spline curve. We can also create points on the curve or anywhere else during the sketch using the point option. And we could also add text using this option.
Hello.
Yeah.
So in this, is it possible to draw a Bezier curve, like the curve not passing through the control points, but by changing the control points, we can change the curve, right? That format, can we get it?
Yes. So yeah, using the second option, if we change the control point, the spline curve also moves accordingly using the control point spline.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. So we can also add text using this text option. And there is also a option called mirror. So suppose you need to mirror this rectangle, just click this mirror and select the objects. We also need to mention the mirror line of it. So draw a line parallel to the image you want to mirror. Then select this, select the mirror line and mirror. You will get it on the other side. So for circular pattern, just select the object and the center point. You will get the circular pattern of it. Just give how many number of copies you want and we'll get that in a circular pattern. In similar way, we also have rectangular pattern. So yeah, this is about create. Any more doubts you can ask me. Okay. Now moving on to modify. So fillet is an option to smooth out the edge points. When we have a pair of lines like this, we give fillet and we can
Can
mention
we
the.
use NX16 in future instead of Fusion 360?
I didn't get you. Can you repeat? Hello? Can you repeat the doubt?
Can we use Fusion 360 in the future? Can we use NX16 software instead of Fusion 360?
Yeah, any software could be used for modeling.
Okay, thank you.
So we can give the desired number so that it would get filler. Chamfer is a similar tool, but fillet will go in a circular arc way, but chamfer would go in a straight line manner. So this blend curve option is used to blend any two curves together. And then offset is used to make a copy of this. We can mention the distance we want and we would get the other copy. So this trim option is used to trim any lines. Extend option could be used to extend straight lines or anything. We can also extend arcs to make circles. So when we have two shapes overlapping each other like this break option is used to create a break between them so that they become separate components. So this sketch scale option is used to scale the shape 3 times, 4 times, like how much ever we want. Just give the scaling factor and it will become thrice its size. Like this. We can use this move copy button to move the entire thing, or else we can make copy and move them. And we also have an option called parameters. We need to add any variable and give the unit in mm. So I'm giving a parameter of value 10. So you draw any line using the parameter. Give the dimension as 3 times the parameter A. So it will get dimensioned as 30 mm. So we use these parameters to change every dimension at once. If we give this parameter to every line of the sketch and change the parameter, the value gets changed to entire sketch. Guys, is everything clear till now, or if you have any doubts, you can ask.
Please repeat the parameters option.
Yeah, okay. So I gave a parameter A of 10 mm. And if we create a line, then give the dimension as 10, like anything into A, then the dimension becomes 100. Like 10 times 10 is 100, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So we have constraints So when we want to make these two lines horizontal or vertical, we can use this constraint called horizontal vertical. Guys, 1 second. So coming to the next constraint, which is coincident. When we have two random lines and want to make them coincident, we can use this constraint. Just click on them and they would get attached together. And when we have a circle and a line, and we want that line to be a tangent for the circle, we can use this tangent circle constraint, and the line becomes tangent to the circle. And now we have equal constraint, so we can make these two lines of equal length using this constraint. And we can make any two non-parallel lines parallel using the parallel constraint. So now these two lines get parallel. And we can also make the lines perpendicular using the perpendicular constraint. Now these two lines are perpendicular to each other. So we have constraint to make them concentric, collinear, and symmetric. We can draw two random circles and make them concentric. So yeah, these are the most used constraints. These would be enough. And this inspect tool is used to but clicking D, we can go to the dimension button and get the dimension of any line we want. So this is about sketching. If you have any doubts, you can ask.
While using the constraint parallel lines, can we change the distance between the parallel lines also?
To change the distance between parallel lines, just go to dimension, then change the distance between them. Yeah.
What's the option to change the dimension?
In Create, you have sketch dimension, or you could just press D on the keyboard. So then we would
Okay.
get it. Yeah. So this is about sketching, guys. You can use a mouse. Which one?
Project 2. Create.
So now Diksha will continue with the 3D part of Fusion.
Okay, so I request you all to try it along with us so that in case you're facing any trouble, you can ask us. Okay. Uh, okay, I hope you guys can see my screen. So to make a 3D part, you obviously need to have a 2D sketch. So as Pranavi told, we'll try to make a sketch in any plane. So for now, I'm taking the top plane. We'll create a sketch in the top plane and we'll try to make a 2D sketch into 3D. So let's say we use a center diameter circle, put it at the center of the plane and move it. And let's assume the diameter to be 100 millimeters. So after in case this was our sketch, then we can click on finish sketch if you want to extrude the 2D sketch into a 3D sketch. So once we click on finish sketch, under sketches, so here on the left hand side, you'll basically get like the different sketches you'll be sketching. So click on sketch 1 and under create, you can go to extrude. Either go under create, you can go to extrude or click on E option. So once you do that, you can extrude the plane. So if you want to extrude it like above, you put a positive value, and in case you want it to go below, then just add a negative sign. So if you want it to be extruded like in both directions, so in this small extrude drop down, you can choose symmetric. So in both the directions, it will be extruded. Or if you want it to be only on one side, you can under directions, you can click on one side. So this is how you use the extrude option. And once you are done, like if you wanted to extrude by minus 30 millimeter, after you're done, just click on OK. So now we have got a 3D model of our 2D object. Now, in case we want to create a sketch on this plane of the circle, click on create
One
sketch.
question.
Yeah.
So let's say now can we change the radius of this cylindrical object?
If you want to change the radius, you will have to again go back to, so click on sketch 1 here. So double
Okay.
click on that, and
Okay.
in under here you can change your, if you make it say 120, then when you click on
Okay.
finish sketch back, your dimensions of this object would have changed.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Then let's say we want to create a sketch on this plane. So click on create sketch, and instead of selecting the top or side planes, you can click on the on this plane, on the cylindrical plane. So here again, let's say we want a rectangle. So we'll do a center rectangle. So just draw a rectangle for of random, let's say 80. And so another thing, if once you draw a rectangle and you want to change its dimensions, once you've changed, say, the length, to change the breadth, you can click on tab. So if you click on tab, it will give you the option to change the breadth. Then you can put the desired breadth and then click enter. So in case we are done, then again finish sketch and uh, select the plane which you want to extrude. And again, if you click E, you can extrude it. But now in case we wanted this to be a hole instead of an extrusion, we can click on cut. So under the extrude drop down, under operation, there's a option called cut. So there, if you click on cut and extrude it, instead of extruding, let's say you put -10, it will have, and click OK, you'll get a small cut. So extrude option not only helps in extruding the body, you can also use other features like uh, cutting a small hole in the body, or like that. Okay, any doubts till now? You can ask. Okay, then so here under sketches you'll be finding the two sketches. So one sketch we made was for the circle which we extruded, and other sketch was for the cut which we made in sketch 2. So under bodies you will get body option. So this is our entire body. So under bodies, body 1 is this. So in case you want the sketch to be seen in the 3D model, then unhide this. So under this sketches, just unhide this option. So you will get your sketch. Okay, so let's create another sketch. Now I'll show you how to use the revolve option. So for now, let me hide my body, and let's see how to use the revolve option. So for revolve option, let's say we want to make the same cylinder again. So just click on 2-point rectangle and give the same dimension, say 80 and 40. And then finish your sketch. So let's hide the first two sketches for now. And once you are done finishing your sketch, go to create, and here you have a revolve option. So when you click on revolve, it will ask you the profile. So profile is your plane which you're selecting, and the axis is along which axis you want it to get revolved. So you can either choose your x-axis, or you can choose your z-axis, or y, anything. So for now, let's give us z-axis. So and then it will ask you for the angle in which you want to revolve it. Say here, if I make it 180 degrees, so you get a semi circle shape, or if I make it 360 degrees, you get a cylinder. So this is the revolve option. And say in case I change my profile, I mean I change my axis, instead of Z, if I make it say my X axis, then you get the cylinder in the shape. Okay. So that is all about extrude and revolve, and they are the mainly used options. So in certain cases, you might want to have the same 3D object multiple times. So then you can use your pattern option. So say we want it as a rectangular pattern. So you can go to create pattern, and under pattern, rectangular pattern. So you can select your body. So body, let's say this body, and let's the axis along which you want the body to be duplicated. So let's say my z-axis, and here it will give you two options. One is the distance by which you want to offset the duplicated object, and the number of objects. So for now, let's say the quantity is 5, and you offset the duplicated object by say 200, or you can increase the, so using this arrow you can as well increase the offset option. So here you can see. So once you're happy with the offset distance, just click OK. So this is only in one direction. If you want it to be symmetric, it will happen along both directions. But for now, let's just keep it in one direction. So if I click OK, then you can see the object is duplicated. So also on the right hand top corner, this is your home option. So home basically shows you this view, and here you can click on any of the say front, top or right. That will give you the respective views, like say front. And if you want to toggle in a random plane, which is not, I mean, not any view, then you can click on this top right of the cube here. So that will help you to move across the, like in whichever direction you want. Okay. Now let's say so now we have used extrude, revolve and pattern. So similar to rectangular pattern, you can have a circular pattern as well, which will just duplicate the objects in a circular manner. And if you want the objects to be duplicated in a certain path, then you can use pattern on path. Okay, so now we'll let's say we go to sketch 3 itself, and here instead of putting 80 and 40, let's use parameters. So go to modify, change parameter, and let's create a parameter. So here we get, so click on the plus sign, enter a parameter, say A, and you can change the units if you want. For now, we're just keeping it as mm. And let's say value of A is 20, and then click OK. Now, instead of making it 80, let's write it as 4 into A. And this, instead of writing it as 40, let's write it as 2 into A. Okay. So that won't have any change on the 3D model. So still the size is the same. But in case you wanted the cylinders to be bigger or smaller, instead of going to the sketch and changing the dimension of the rectangle, you can as well go to modify in the 3D view itself. Go to modify, change parameters. And instead of making A value as 20, let's say you want it to be bigger, so we'll make it 40. So if I click on OK, the cylinders will get bigger. Or if I wanted to make it smaller, we'll just put it as say 5. So you get smaller. So this is more convenient when you're sketching a very complex model. Instead of changing the dimensions in the sketch, it's easier to change the dimensions in using parameters. Okay. So let's say now we want to move the body. So you can click on the body, right click, and click on move or copy. So that will help you to move the body by any distance. And in case I want to rotate this body like around any axis, I can do that as well. Just mention, so when you click on that, you will get angle option here. So for the desired angle, if you click, if you rotate it and click OK, you can, the object is rotated. And now
And
let's
how to
say,
copy?
okay, copy also I'll show you. Click on this. So here there's in this side option, here there's a create copy option.
Okay, okay.
Just click on that and move it. So you can copy. And So let's see some other options. So let's say you want to fillet. Fillet is usually used for giving a smoother finish to the edges. So let's say I want a smoother finish to the edge of my cylinder. So I can click on fillet and click on the edges which I want to fillet. So this and say the down part also. This. So after I click that, it will ask me to select my radius. So let's say I make it 5. So it gets smooth. Or if I don't want it to be very smooth, I'll make it, let's say 1. So you get a smoother, then click OK. So you can see our cylinder is filleted. So something similar is chamfer is also a similar option. So if you want to chamfer, go to modify chamfer, then click on the edge and you can chamfer it. So basically chamfer does it in the other direction. So if I say 1, fillet happens outward and chamfer happens inward. So that is chamfer and fillet. Then let's say I want to mm, I'll also speak about how you can give material to your if you want to change the material of your solid body, click on the body you want to change the material, say body 6. Right click and here you'll get a physical material option. So click on physical material and so here you'll get a box. So let's say I want it to be, so there are many options like ceramic, electronics, fabric. So according to the material you desire, just click on it. It will give you more options. And whatever you feel is the best choice, just so this hand option is will appear. Just drag and drop it on the material. So drag and drop it on the body. So the material of the body will change. So let's say I want it a metal. Drag and drop so you can change. So there are actually many options and you can try assigning different materials. Any doubts so far? You can ask.
Once can you explain how to make multiple objects copying of it?
Yeah, sure. So you can either duplicate an object by creating a copy of the object or going to create pattern. So if you want to say move, and you can use move and copy option also. So let's say you want to move this body 6. So right click and go to move or copy. And here in this drop down menu, you get a create copy option. But the only problem is in create copy option, you can only create one copy. So then this is how you use this option. The other option, in case you want multiple copies, then you have to go to right click, go to create, go to pattern, rectangular pattern or anything. Like in case you just want, you can use circular pattern also. So go to rectangular pattern, then it'll ask you to choose the bodies here. So say I want to choose this body. Click on the body, then it'll ask you the axis. So axis you can give either your x-axis, y-axis or z-axis. So let's say you want to duplicate along your z-axis. Click on the axis, then it'll here under axis 1, it'll ask you for quantity. So you can change your number of let's say 5, and then it'll ask you the distance. So that distance will depend on so this is I made this along this axis, axis 2. So here
Can
I've
we alter the can we alter the dimension while making the copies of it? like we are making patterns already. So can we alter uh, the dimension
Yeah,
of it while doing
yeah, you can you can do that. So just change the dimension in Sketch and every copy will get changed. So you can duplicate along any axis, and you can also duplicate, so you can duplicate it along two axes at the same time, so you get a two-dimensional copy. I mean, so you basically get 15 copies because I duplicated 5 times along one axis and 3 times along another, so you get something like this. Okay, is it clear?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Also,
So
in
if
case
I
you're
want
not
to
using,
copy,
sorry,
if I want to copy like the size should be in series like 5 centimeters, 6 centimeters, 7 centimeters. Can we do that also?
your
मतलब
voice is not audible.
just a minute.
Yeah.
Is it fine now?
Yeah. Tell me.
Yeah. So if suppose I want to make a copy like that, my first copy is of 5 centimeter, then the second copy is of 6, then 7, and 8. So a series of
Uh,
different sizes.
I don't think that is possible. So you'll have to create the copy and then you'll have to move each body.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And in case you guys are not using mouse, here down there are some options. So this is the orbit option. So if you click on orbit, I mean people using mouse also can use it. So if I use orbit, it helps me to move in a 360-degree view. And if I'm creating, if I click on pan, it helps me to move in one plane but along every direction, like up and down and left and right. So in case you're not using mouse, you can use this. And in case you want to get rid of it, just click escape. Okay. Okay, then we'll go on to some other option. So there are many options. So in case you want to uh, create a torus, I'll show you that. So just click on create torus. Then it will ask you to select a plane. So click on your any plane and it'll ask you for the center point. So let's say center point here. And it'll ask you to specify the diameter. So you can change the diameter to the desired, say 150. So it will create a torus. So here under operation, you have to just click join. Since this body is overlapping, it went into cut automatically. So if I click on cut, then the part of the cylinder will be vanished. So if I say so one part of the cylinder, if you can see this part vanishes. But since we don't want to do that and we want to create, let's say we want to join, you can click on join. So there are options: cut, join, intersect, new component, new body. So join basically assumes that this body and this body are the same body. So if I click on this, both get selected. But if I select new component, I mean new body, there'll be different bodies. They'll be assumed as different bodies. And cut, as I showed you, will cut the cylinder. So according to your need, you can just create a torus. So that is torus. And so in case you can duplicate objects, you can create a copy, you can create pattern, and if you want to mirror an object, you can do that as well. So let's say I want to So mirror was option was there in 2D as well. So in 3D also, in case you have done modeling the object completely and you want to mirror it, you can mirror it using mirror option. So go to mirror, and under bodies you can select the body. Let's say this body. Then it will ask you for the mirror plane. So you can select the mirror plane. Let's say this plane. So here after it mirrors, it will ask you if you want to join or you want it as a new body. You can choose accordingly. It is more advisable to put it as a new body, because in case you're making some changes in your original body, that will reflect on your mirrored object also. And if you don't want that, then you can click on new body, or else you can click join. And once you have mirrored it, just click OK. You will understand it better when I show you how to create different planes. So we'll come to that little later. So these are some of the main. You can so cylinder, I showed you some methods. One is you create a sketch and revolve it, or you create a circle and extrude it, or else there's a cylinder option here itself. And I'll recommend you guys try this out. So here you just have to specify the diameter of the circle and the height of the cylinder and the plane, and you will get a cylinder. Same for a sphere also. Sphere, you can specify the center point of the sphere and the diameter of the sphere. So it will create a sphere for you. So in some places, you might want a hole, like, or a shell. Not, you don't want it to be a completely thick body. So in that case, what you can do, click it. Let me hide my bodies. Let me hide all bodies for now. We'll create a fresh body. Okay. So now I'll show you how to use the shell option. So click on shell, then click on, so it'll ask you, basically shell will remove the excess part inside the body. So it'll ask you for a face. So you can select your face, let's say this upper face, and it'll ask you the radius. So what thickness you want to be left. So let's say 5. If we say 5, or you can change it, make it 15. If I click on 5 and say OK, so all other part of the body is removed and only the 5 thickness is left from every side. So that is shell option, and it's very helpful in certain places. So in case of screws, nuts and bolts, you might want to thread so you can use the thread option in case you want to thread it. So what you do, click on thread. It'll ask you for the face in which you want to apply the thread. Click on the face, and it will ask you for some designations. You can use different ones according to your need. So, and it'll ask you if you only want to say thread that face, or you want to make it completely thread. So according to your needs, you can click, and you can choose the direction also in case you want it to be right hand, left hand. It doesn't make much difference, but still. And after finishing it, just click. So here, a thread type, you can choose different types. There are many types. So some standard. So usually when you start thread option, it usually comes to isometric. But if you want to change it, you can always do that. So after done, just click OK. And you can see it is inside has been threaded. So that is one option. Uh, yeah, they are. Next we'll go to, so the move or copy option is also under modify. Or in case you don't want to go to that, just click on M and select the body. You can do that also. And now I'll show you how to construct different planes. So in case I want to draw a something here which is tangent to this surface. Ideally, I can't do that using just my top or front or side plane. So I'll need another plane which is tangent to this surface. So what I can do, I can go to construct and go to tangent plane, and it'll ask you to select the face. So let's say this face, and then click. You can also change the angle here in case you want it to be tangent at an angle. You can change it. So in case I can move it around. So this is possible. So wherever you want it to be, just click it and then click OK. So now we have got a plane here and we can draw on this plane. So let's say I create a sketch. I want to create a sketch in this. So go to create sketch in that plane. So let's draw a line. So for line, you can use L. L is to draw a line. And so this triangle option which pops up basically tells that it's your midpoint. So let's say I draw a circle at the midpoint of dimension 30. Then I can finish my sketch and then click on the, let's say I want to extrude this. So I go click on E or go to create extrude. Select the plane in the planes you want to extrude. After you do that, just extrude it, say by 50 or something like that. That is your extrude option. But if you want it to be a cut, then what you can do, you can click, instead of plus 50, make it minus 50. So automatically it assigns cut option operation here. So that is in case you want to make a hole. So if I click OK, then basically I've got a hole here. So here you can hide your planes also. I'll just hide everything. So here you can see it clearly that there's been a hole here. Okay. So now in case you, oh, and also this is your timeline. What is shown in the bottom is your timeline. So it basically shows you what all activities you have done in this file. So if I click on this bar and move it back, let me unhide my bodies. Okay, and sketches also can be seen. So if I click on play here, it will show me what I did till now. And you can move. So basically this is very helpful in case you have made any mistakes while dimensioning and you want to change it. Instead of doing it again, you can go back in your timeline and change only that particular sketch, so that things after that change, but before that it's nothing is affected. So that is another option. And any doubts till now? You can ask me. Okay. So that was about, I showed you tangent plane. So let's say I'll show you some more planes. So let's say I create a sketch. And now I want to make a plane which is mid to both the sides. Say this side and that side. I want a mid plane. So in that case, I go to construct mid plane. Then it will ask you to select the two planes through which it has to be mid. So you select the two planes. And then if I click OK, I get a plane here, which is a mid plane. So that is also helpful in certain cases. In case you want to construct something on the mid plane, just click on create sketch and click on the mid plane. Then you can draw. So let's say we draw maybe a line only will take. So in line option also, in case you do want it to be at 90 degrees, you first specify the distance, then click on tab. So tab will help you to change the angle at which you are drawing that distance. Okay. Now let's say, now this I have drawn on my mid plane. And now I want it to be a body, so I'll just revolve it. So click on revolve, click on the axis, and it will ask if you want to cut or you want it to join. So just click on join. So you can see this is how you can make it. That is all about your mid plane. And in case you do want it to be a tangent exactly, but you want it to be at an angle to some body, you can use plane at an angle option. Or in case you want a certain plane to be offsetted, so we'll do that. Just hide your body for now and say construct offset plane, and let's offset the top plane. So click on this and it will show you an arrow. Just click by how much distance you want to offset it, say 30 millimeter, then click OK. So now you have an offsetted plane which is offset to your top plane. Okay. And so let's create a sketch in your top plane. And let's create a sketch in your offset plane also. So okay. So in case you want to use the loft option, you'll have to draw the bodies in two different planes and then select the planes and click on loft, so it will give you a something similar to this shape. Okay. And let's see. So in case you have a, we'll draw, okay, then we'll extrude. So you can use different options and get complicated bodies. So Fusion 360 is helps in creating very complex 3D models. So if you utilize each option properly, you'll be able to, uh, able to create a very complicated model, and you can even assemble the model. So we'll look into that also. So for assembly, we'll need at least two models. So let's say we move the body. And let's create a sketch in the top plane. So in case I want to, for assembling, I'll have to use assemble joint option. Either you go to assemble and click joint or just click J. So before assembling, you will have to make the bodies into components. So how you do that is go to your left side and click on the body, right click, and here there's an option called create components from bodies. So click on that. And here also you click on this, and so here under components you will get your components. So once you create them as components, go to joint option. And before using the joint option, you will have to ground one body, because if when you're assembling, at least one body will have to be stationary and not moving. So for that, you right click on any component and click on ground to parent. After you are done that, you can go to the assemble joint option. So here, let's say you want this. So basically you want this body to come and sit with this body and rotate about this axis. So you can go here. If you click on the edge, it will basically directly snap to the midpoint. Click on that, then click on this midpoint. So basically it comes here. Then you can move the body either up or down according to what you need. For now, let's say like this. Then this is under position. So all this is just for the position of the two bodies. So if you go to motion and say revolute, here you can see the bodies revoluting. So you can choose the axis here, either X, Y, Z. For now, this is Z axis, but if you want a custom axis like at an angle, you can always do that. Click on custom and choose the axis. That is for Revolute. So basically in Revolute, the parent body is stationary. So you can check the motion under preview motion here. So in this, the parent body is not moving and it's only the body which is attached to the parent body which is moving. That is for Revolute. And it is basically only rotating. But if I want it to, if it's rigid, then it's nothing rotates or moves, it's the same. And if for slider, it basically moves up and down. So you have to give the desired axis. For now, let's say Z axis. And you'll have to give a minimum and a maximum value. So let's say minimum is 0 and maximum is 10. If that is the case, then you can preview your motion. So this is how it moves. If I make maximum as 100, and if I preview my motion, something like this. So that is about assemble. So so you can choose the motion. There are a few more options like cylindrical. So the definition of each option is given if you just click on that option. You can try those options also. Okay. Any doubts so far? Okay, nothing. Then let's okay, then I'll show you some more options. In case you want to create a hole, you can use a shell, but a shell, the problem is that it will remove the body from every angle. But if you in hole option, only from a certain distance, and according to our choice, it will it'll cut a hole. So I'll show you shell also. So let's create a object. So now if I have to use the hole option, click on hole. It'll ask you for the face in which you want the hole. So click on the face and you can move it. So let's say at the center. So this hole is made at the center. So you can choose the depth of the hole. So if you want it to be fully a hole or partially a hole, you can choose it. Then you can choose the hole type. So there are different hole types: tapered, angle, flat. All these options you guys can explore. So basically that just changes the type, and you can give the diameter also. So if I want my hole to be bigger, just change the diameter here. So that, let's make it 20. Let's change the diameter here and choose the hole type, then click OK. So now you can see hole is formed of this sort. So if you want some other type of hole, you can choose it accordingly. Okay. And then let's okay, well, I'll show you cylinder and sphere also. Hide the body. And now let's create a cylinder. So for cylinder, you'll have to select the plane. So select any plane, say top plane. And it'll ask you to select the center point where you want the cylinder's mid to stay. So click on it. And you'll have to specify the dimensions. So let's say 40. And then if you, it'll ask you for the height. So this is how you create a cylinder. And sphere is also something similar. So select the plane, select the center, and choose the diameter. That's how you create a sphere. This is one way of creating a sphere. Another way is create a sketch and draw a semicircle. And what you can do as I'll show you how to use 3-point arc also. So just click on the endpoints. You have to basically click on 3 points. So the arc is formed. Then finish your sketch and revolve it. So click on this and select your axis. So you get something like this. You can make shapes somewhat similar to this, or let's edit the sketch. So this is another way of making a sphere. Okay. Any doubts so far? Okay. I think we have covered most of the basics of uh, fusion, and I can show you a few more options. Let's say plane at an angle. So if I hide my body, you can see, so you can choose a plane and move it around at an angle. So if, in case I want my offset plane to be at an angle, just click on plane at an angle and you can change the angle. So that is one option. In case Yeah, all this constructing a plane helps in while sketching. In case you want to sketch at an angle to a cylindrical portion or a circular portion, it's helpful. And there are many other options, but most common options I think I have covered. And yeah, that is all about basics of fusion. So till so far, if you guys have any doubts, you can ask, or else we'll wrap up this session. So this session we won't have any assignments. From next session onwards, we will next session we'll basically be doing a complete 3D model, and we hope you guys will also follow. By then, you can explore more of Fusion and get familiar with the tools. And then we'll be creating a 3D model, and as an assignment, we'll ask you to also we'll give you the dimensions of a 3D model and ask you to create the same 3D model. So,
So components could be moved, but bodies can't be moved. So when we make a body into component, we can move them and join them together.
So while using the assemble option, you can't use assemble by having bodies. So you have to basically convert them into components, and then if you assemble and put your constraints, you can make a body move, like something like that.
So for practice, you can try out any of the models found on Google, or if you want, we will provide any. But in the next session, we'll be giving an assignment. You can try out all the tools for today and tomorrow.
Yeah, all sessions will be online, and so it's a 7-day course. So depending on your what do you say, attendance and the assignment submission, you will be getting your certificates. So if you are regular and you're attending all classes and you are doing the assignments on time, at the end of the course you'll get a certificate. So to convert a body into a component, you basically go to the left hand side, and under bodies you click on the body which you want to convert into a component, right click, and your third option, create components from bodies. If you click on that, then you can convert a body to a component. Any more doubts?
Does anyone have an issue in installing Fusion 360?
Um, so the video that you shared, it was old video. Is there an update or an updated version of Fusion 360, or the same old video, old version works?
I
Am
think
I audible?
features wise,
Yeah.
everything is the same. So there's
Okay.
not
Yeah.
much difference. But yeah, there
Understood.
is an updated version.
Oh, okay. So yeah. This might be a very weird doubt. You know,
Yeah.
the 3D printer in IIT Madras, I think it's crores, right?
No, it's not in crores. But 3D printer in general is expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, it's expensive, and is it even
It's not.
possible to
Yeah.
afford? Yeah.
We have like 5 3D printers
Yeah,
in
yeah,
our.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But none of them are in crores. So
Okay, yeah. No, the UV light one.
no, even yeah, it is expensive, but yeah, probably in around 50K to 70K, but not in crores.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, then should we wrap up the session?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you, guys.
thank you.